They say everyone has a breaking point. Mine happened in a scratchy chair with a mystery stain I'd stared at for 6 years, right as Colin Hayes slid a familiar manila folder across his desk with that smarmy, half-smile he probably practiced in the mirror. 12 rejections. 12, I didn't even need to open it to know. The moment his fingers left the edge of the folder, I knew exactly what it held, another not this time. And I already knew who got the promotion instead of me, Alina Harper. 8 months at the company. 8. That's how long it took her to leapfrog me into the senior consultant role I had practically built from scratch with my own blood, sweat, and sanity. Look, Naomi, Colin said, leaning in like we were buddies conspiring against corporate red tape instead of reenacting the same sad little play for the 12th time. Q4 isn't really our best quarter for leadership transitions. But hey, I've already put your name at the top of the spring cycle. You're next. I nodded like I hadn't heard that exact phrase, verbatim, 11 times before. Like I hadn't trained every person who had been promoted ahead of me since 2018. Like I hadn't missed birthdays, vacations, and entire weekends to be the one holding the company together when others dropped the ball. And then I laughed, not a polite chuckle, not a dry, corporate snort. It was the kind of laugh that unravels you. The kind that makes people shift in their seats and start checking their exit routes. The kind that lets everyone know the game's over, because the person who always played by the rules just stopped caring. Colin blinked like his Zoom call had frozen. Is something funny? Still laughing, I looked him in the eye. Yeah, me. I'm the punchline. I've been the punchline for 6 years, and I just now got the joke. And that was the moment everything changed. That was the exact second I decided to burn it all down, not literally, of course. I'm not an arsonist. Just a woman who finally got tired of being invisible. But wait, let me back up to my name's Naomi Lynn. I was 33 when all this went down, working at a boutique consulting firm called Apex North Strategies. Fancy name, right? We did business transformation for mid-sized healthcare companies. Sounds important, and sometimes it even was. I'd been there 6 years. 6 years of being the fix-it person, the closer, the one they called at 11 p.m. when a client was ready to walk and no one else had the guts to take the call. 6 years of hearing how critical I was to the team, but apparently not critical enough to actually promote the SO. Before I get deeper into how I decided to torch the entire blueprint they boxed me into, go ahead and like this post, share it if it hits a nerve, and drop a comment if you've ever felt yourself disappear into your own career while watching others take credit, because trust me, this story, it doesn't go where you think it does anyway. After I composed myself in Colin's office, still grinning like a lunatic, I told him I understood, and walked out, back to my desk. Past Lena, who was holding court near the snack counter, handing out her shiny new business cards like Halloween candy. Senior consultant. That title should have been mine years ago. Let me paint the picture. Apex North was started by 3 ex-Big Four guys who wanted to be different. Flat structure, they said. No politics, they promised. We're like a family here. Spoiler alert, it wasn't a family. It was a club. Colin was employee number 7. I was employee 28, brought on when they were still trying to win their first $1 million contract. I was the one who built half their internal reporting systems, automated their bloated Excel nightmares, and single-handedly kept our largest account, Redwood Mercy Health, from walking when our project manager ghosted mid-implementation. I put in 60-hour weeks for 6 years. Showed up, delivered, nailed every target, met every moving goalpost, and yet, every single time promotion season came around, I got the same speech, with a slight remix: you need more client-facing time. So I became our go-to-client whisperer: you need leadership exposure. So I led cross-functional teams: you need technical depth. So I got certified in 2 systems, on my own dime. Every time I met a new requirement, they shifted the bar. And still, somehow, others soared past me. There was Brian, always late, never prepared, but he played squash with Colin. Then Amara, who needed my help building a PowerPoint deck 2 days into her promotion. And now Lena. Her big qualification? She went to the same MBA program as one of our founders. I used to obsess over what I was missing. Was I too quiet? Not charming enough? Too direct? Was it because I didn't schmooze at happy hours or laugh at every mediocre joke? Wrong background? Wrong gender? I spent years trying to decipher the invisible code to advancement. But watching Lena strut around with her new title while I sat in the same desk chair I'd had since 2019, it finally hit me: there was no code, the system was never broken. It was working exactly as it was designed, to reward politics over performance, connections over competence. That night, I broke, not publicly, not in flames or fury, just silently. At 2 a.m., on the cold bathroom floor of my tiny apartment, crying in the way that cracks your ribs from the inside. My phone screen was lit up with a stupid push notification. Time to practice gratitude, from some mindfulness app one forgot. I installed gratitude. Sure, I called my sister, Emily, who lived 2 states away. She answered groggily, listened to me rant for over an hour, then she said something that shifted the ground under my feet. So quit. I scoffed. I can't just quit. Why not? Because, I floundered. I've built everything here. My reputation, my track record, my whole professional identity is wrapped up in this place. And what have they given you for it? She asked, her voice calm. Besides anxiety and a chair with a stain? That shut me up to it. Took me 2 weeks to fully grasp what she meant. 2 weeks of quiet rage. Of smiling at meetings while I made a plan. I didn't just quit, I built my exit with the same precision I once gave their systems. Asterisk first. I called up 3 clients I had strong relationships with, people I'd supported through crisis after crisis. I wasn't poaching. I simply asked if they'd take a call from me if I struck out on my own. All 3 said yes, without hesitation. Then, I reviewed my non-compete. It had holes. Lots of them. Whoever had written it clearly assumed no one would ever challenge it. Next, I took inventory of my skills, certifications, and projects. I crafted a pitch deck, drafted a proposal template, and registered an LLC, Lynpoint Consulting at BY. The time spring rolled around, ironically, when Colin said my name would rise to the top. I handed in my resignation. He blinked. Wait, Naomi, this is about Lena, isn't it? No, Colin, I said evenly. This is about me finally realizing I don't need your validation. The day I walked out of that office was the first time in 6 years that my shoulders didn't ache from tension. Within 3 months, I had 2 retainer clients and a growing pipeline. By month 6, I hired a part-time operations assistant. By month 9, I surpassed my previous salary, and I took weekends off for the first time in a decade. Apex North sent me an email once. A friendly reminder about my non-solicitation clause. I replied with a timestamped Zoom recording showing their legal rep signing off on a different version. They never contacted me again. Lena? She lasted 7 more months. Apparently. The title didn't come with a roadmap, and no one told her how to actually deliver results. Colin eventually got replaced in a quiet leadership shuffle. A LinkedIn update revealed he's now exploring advisory opportunities. As for me, I've never felt more seen, in my own life, on my own terms. So, if you've ever been in that stained chair, wondering why your loyalty keeps getting overlooked, here. Me now, you're not the problem, the system wants you to think you are. That way, you'll keep bending, striving, proving, shrinking, but you don't have to. You can walk away. You can build something better. You can become undeniable without ever asking for permission. I did, and trust me, so can you. People assume that walking away is the hardest part. It's not. You know what's hard? The silence at 9 a.m. on a Monday when you're used to 30 Slack pings before your second cup of coffee. The silence of not having 100 unread emails screaming for your attention, the silence of realizing you've built your entire self-worth around being needed by people who only ever saw you as convenient. I thought quitting Apex North would feel like slamming a door. Dramatic. Triumphant. Like the final scene in a movie with empowering music playing in the background. Instead, it felt like standing in an empty room, holding the keys, wondering what to do with the echo. I remember waking up that first Monday post-resignation in a weird mix of euphoria and panic. My phone didn't buzz. My inbox was clear. And for the first time in years, there was no one expecting anything from me. So I did what high-achieving, anxiety-fueled overachievers do. I panicked and started making spreadsheets. By noon, I had outlined a 12-week business plan for Lynpoint Consulting, built a CRM in Notion, and color-coded a marketing funnel that no one but me would ever see. It wasn't until day 3 that I stopped and asked myself, what the hell am I even doing this for? That's when I realized I hadn't just left a job. I was trying to unlearn a whole belief system. You see, Apex North had trained me to believe that value looked like exhaustion. That performance meant always being the last to leave and the first to respond. That being liked was as important as being skilled. That if you weren't getting promoted, it was your fault, because someone else figured out the game better than you. But now, the game was mine and no one was keeping score but me. So I started changing the rules. The first test came fast. A former colleague, Melissa, reached out on LinkedIn. Hey. Congrats on the new venture. Any chance you'd be open to helping us with a time-sensitive deliverable? Translation, we under-resourced our team again and need you to bail us out like you used to for free, but now we'll pretend to consult with you for a few hours. Old me would have said yes. Would have worked nights, skipped meals, and let the resentment boil quietly just to feel useful. New me, I sent her my consulting rate with a warm smiley and wished her luck when she ghosted me. I felt guilty for about 12 minutes, then I realized something liberating, my time was finally mine. And charging for it didn't make me arrogant, it made me honest. The second test was subtler. One of my early clients, a mid-sized health tech company, asked if I'd be willing to pitch a proposal to their executive team in person. I prepped for days, built a stunning deck, and nailed the presentation. Afterward, their COO pulled me aside and said, "You're really impressive. Have you ever thought about coming in-house?" The old me would have been flattered, might have even considered it, but instead, I smiled and said, "I didn't leave to build someone else's ladder. Because here's the truth, people will always want to pull you back into their systems. It makes them feel safer, but sometimes the best thing you can do is stay outside the system and build your own." 2 months in, I hit my first major milestone, closed a 3-month retainer at full rate, paid my rent and put money in savings. No one clapped. No LinkedIn kudos. No performance reviews or champagne toasts, just me, on my couch, eating overpriced Thai food and watching old reruns of The West Wing. And you know what? That was enough, because for the first time in a long time, I wasn't performing. I was living around. Month 4, things got interesting. One of the junior analysts from Apex North, Jason, reached out. He'd heard about my consulting work and wanted advice on leaving. "I see what you've built," he said. I didn't think it was even possible. Everyone always acts like we're lucky just to be in the room. I told him the truth. They need you to think that, because if you believe you're lucky, you'll never ask for more. And that's when I realized something else. What I was building wasn't just for me. IT was proof. Proof that you didn't have to play small just to survive. That you could walk away from what was safe and still be okay. That leaving didn't mean failure, it meant freedom. Jason eventually left too. And he wasn't the only one. By the end of my first year, 3 other ex-Apex employees had quietly launched their own ventures. We'd grab coffee, swap stories, share leads. We joked that we were the Quiet Quitters Club, but really, we were architects of something better. And me, I stopped laughing like I'd lost my mind. I started laughing like someone who finally got it. 1 year later, it's been a full year since I walked out of that stained office chair. LinPoint Consulting has grown beyond what I imagined. I work with a handful of dream clients who respect my boundaries and pay on time. I set my hours. I pick my projects. I take Fridays off if I want, and I am, finally, in charge of my own story. Sometimes I still see updates from Apex North. Promotions, client wins, motivational fluff about resilience and growth. And every once in a while, Colin's name pops up in my suggested connections. I never click, because I'm not curious anymore. I'm free. So if you're reading this, sitting in your own version of that stained chair, wondering if the walls will fall apart if you stop holding them up, listen to me. You don't owe anyone your burnout. You don't need a title to prove your worth. You are allowed to leave. You are allowed to start over. You are allowed to win on your own terms. I'm Naomi Lynn. I said yes to myself, and everything changed. Now it's your turn. Sometimes, late at night, I still think about that last conversation with Colin. The way he leaned forward, lowering his voice like we were in on some secret together. Like promising me a spring promotion was a gift instead of an excuse. I used to replay it in my head, wondering if I could have said something sharper, something that would have made him finally see me. But now, I don't need him to see me. I see myself. That's the part no one tells you about rebuilding your life. The quiet moments aren't just empty. They're healing. They're honest. There's no one watching. No gold stars. Just you, learning how to be whole again without chasing approval. There was a time when I thought titles gave me value. That if I worked hard enough, someone would tap me on the shoulder and say, "You've arrived." Now, I've stopped waiting for the tapped. I am the arrival. I keep a sticky note on my desk. It says, "Build what they said you didn't deserve." The IT reminds me that this path, this quiet, self-defined, sometimes terrifying path, is mine. And every time someone tells me they read my story and felt braver for it, I remember why I started, not to prove anything, but to reclaim everything. So, if no one said it to you lately, let me be the first. You don't need permission to take up space. You don't need to stay somewhere just because they're used to you being quiet. You can rewrite the ending, even if it scares you. Hell, especially if it scares you, because sometimes the best thing you can do is walk out of the room they kept overlooking you in and build your own damn table.